Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
Every year, twice a year, a strange event occurs with our clocks. Millions of people get confused. In March, we move clocks forward by 1 hour. This means we lose 1 hour of sleep. Then, in the autumn, we move clocks back, gaining that hour. This yearly change often makes people feel tired and confused. For example, some people arrive late for work or school. Parents might find their children waking up very early, still on the old schedule. Our bodies feel like they have traveled, even when we have not left our homes. This change causes a lot of confusion and grogginess for many. Most countries in North America and Europe, and some other places, follow daylight saving time. This system has been part of our lives for so long that many people think it has always existed. But the confusion it brings makes us ask a big question. Why do we still do this? This practice did not start recently. It came from important times, like during wars in the early 1900s. The main reason then was to save energy, like coal. Today, this old practice causes new problems. Studies show that changing the clocks is not always good for our health. It can disturb our sleep and even lead to bigger health issues for some. Also, the idea that it saves a lot of energy is not clear anymore. This book will explore the full story of daylight saving time. We will learn how this idea started, how it changed over time, and all the good and bad things it brought. It is a story about a system that many people question, but which has been hard to change. We will see why this system continues, even when science and many people say it causes problems. 2. A silly idea. Daylight saving time changes how we use daylight. It moves 1 hour of light from morning to evening for warmer parts of the year. In spring, clocks move forward by 1 hour. This means evenings have more light. In autumn, clocks move back 1 hour. This brings brighter mornings. Our clocks change, but the sun's schedule does not. We spend about 8 months with extra evening light, then return to standard time. Many people believe Benjamin Franklin invented daylight saving time. This is a common myth. The story says that in 1784, Franklin was in Paris. He supposedly saw that people could save money if they woke earlier with the sun. They would then not need to use costly candles or lamps in dark morning hours. This sounds like a clever idea. However, Franklin's real idea was a joke. He wrote an essay called An Economical Project. He published it in a Paris newspaper. In this funny text, he said the city could save a lot. He suggested people simply rise with the sun instead of using candles when dark. He even included funny proposals, like guards stopping coaches after sunset or church bells ringing loudly at sunrise to wake everyone. Franklin's essay was satire, not a serious plan. He wanted to change human habits, encouraging people to get up earlier. He did not suggest changing the clocks themselves. The actual practice of moving clocks began much later, It was over a century after Benjamin Franklin passed away. 3. A wartime idea. The real story of daylight saving time began during a very serious time in history. It was World War I. Nations needed to save everything they could to help their armies. In 1916, Germany was the first country to start daylight saving time. They moved their clocks forward by 1 hour. The main reason was to save coal. Coal was important for factories and heating, and they needed it for the war effort. Soon, other countries in Europe followed Germany's idea. Austria-Hungary, France, Britain, and Russia also started changing their clocks. They hoped to save energy too. After the war ended, most of these countries stopped using daylight saving time. They did not see a need for it anymore in peacetime. The United States also started using daylight saving time because of World War I. This happened in 1918. It was a special rule just for the war to save energy. Americans moved their clocks forward, doing their part. But when the war ended that same year, the U.S. government stopped the practice. After that, things became very confusing. For many years, from 1918 to 1966, there was no clear rule in the United States. Some states used daylight saving time and some did not. Even different cities in the same state could have different times. This made it hard for people traveling and for businesses like train companies and radio stations. Imagine trying to know the right time when every town was different. Finally, in 1966, the U.S. government made a new law called the Uniform Time Act. This law said that if a state chose to use daylight saving time, it had to follow the same schedule as everyone else. This brought some order to the confusion. States could still choose not to use it, and some, like Arizona and Hawaii, decided not to. Later, in 1974, during a time when the U.S. needed to save energy again, the country tried something different. They made daylight saving time happen all year. But people did not like it. Winter mornings were very dark, and children had to go to school when it was still night outside. This experiment did not last long. Most people wanted the old system back, and the government changed the rules again after less than 1 year. It showed that very dark mornings were something people did not want. 4. A time of change. After World War I, the United States faced a big problem with time. The federal government had removed the national rule for daylight saving time. This meant that individual states, and sometimes even single cities, could decide for themselves if and when to change their clocks. Some places used it, and some did not. Some might start their clock changes in April, while others waited until May. This created widespread confusion across the country, making daily life complicated for many people. Imagine traveling a short distance and suddenly being in a different time zone, even within the same state. For example, Chicago might be on a different time than its nearby suburbs. This was a real and confusing issue that affected millions. Radio and television companies found it especially hard to plan their programs because time zones kept changing in unsynchronized ways. Interstate transportation companies, like those running buses and trains, also had great difficulty managing their schedules across this patchwork of different clock times. The lack of a single clear rule led to what many called absolute chaos. By the 1960s, this time confusion became intolerable. So, in 1966, the U.S. Congress stepped in to bring order. President Lyndon Johnson signed a new law called the Uniform Time Act. This important law established a clear, uniform system. It meant that if a state chose to observe daylight saving time, it had to follow one set national schedule. Clocks would go forward on the last Sunday in April and then fall back on the last Sunday in October. However, states could still choose not to use daylight saving time at all, staying on standard time all year. Arizona and Hawaii were two states that made this choice, believing the practice did not suit their climate or daily life. Later, in the early 1970s, America faced a serious energy crisis. Oil prices went up, and people waited in long lines for gas. To save energy, President Richard Nixon introduced a new idea in 1974. He signed a law for year-round daylight saving time, which was a radical change. This meant clocks moved forward in February 1974 and were supposed to stay that way for 2 years, never falling back. But people quickly grew to dislike this plan. Public support for it dropped dramatically. Many families complained because their children had to go to school or wait for the school bus in the dark winter mornings. Workers also traveled to their jobs and sometimes returned home in near-complete darkness. Farmers faced problems because their animals, like cows for milking, still operated on the natural light schedule, not the new clock time. Parents worried greatly about their children's safety walking or waiting for buses on dark roads. People felt confused and tired, and school boards reported that children were fatigued. The dark winter mornings were simply too difficult for the American public. Because of this widespread dislike, Congress decided to stop the year-round daylight saving time experiment less than 9 months after it began. President Gerald Ford signed the legislation to return to standard time that October. This big test showed one very clear lesson. Americans would not accept year-round daylight saving time. It also revealed that the expected energy savings were very small or possibly even non-existent. 5. Good and bad things. Many people have strong ideas about daylight saving time, or DST. Some people think it is a good idea, while others think it is bad. Let's look at why people like it first. One big reason people support DST is the hope of saving energy. The idea is simple. If the sun sets later, people will use less electricity in the evenings. They won't need to turn on their lights as early. This, supporters say, means less energy used overall. It could lead to lower electricity bills for families and businesses. Also, less energy use might mean less pollution, which is good for the environment. This belief has been a main reason for DST for a very long time. Another reason people like DST is that it can help businesses. Shops, restaurants, and places that offer fun outdoor activities like golf courses often see more customers. When there is more daylight in the evening, people are more likely to go out. They might go shopping, eat at a restaurant, or play sports after work or school. This extra activity means these businesses make more money. It can be good for tourism too, as visitors enjoy longer, brighter evenings. For some parts of the economy, DST is a real benefit. A third point for DST is about safety. Some people believe that more light in the evenings can make places safer. The evening hours are often when more car accidents happen and when some crimes happen. With more daylight, drivers can see better, and people walking outside might feel safer. This could mean fewer accidents and less crime overall. But not everyone agrees that DST is a good thing. Many people have serious concerns about it. One major problem is how DST affects our bodies. Humans have a natural body clock called a circadian rhythm. This clock tells us when to sleep and when to be awake. It works with the sun. Light in the morning helps us wake up, and darkness at night helps us sleep. When we change the clocks for DST, it confuses our body clock. It's like having a small jet lag without even traveling. This sudden change can make us feel tired and out of sync. This confusion can lead to real health problems. When people spring forward in March, they often lose an hour of sleep. This lack of sleep can be dangerous. Studies have shown that after the springtime change, more people have accidents at work. Even more seriously, doctors have found that the number of heart attacks and strokes goes up in the days right after the clocks change in spring. For example, in one study, there was a 24% increase in heart attacks on the Monday after the springtime change. This shows that changing the clocks twice a year can be very bad for our health. Finally, the biggest reason for DST, saving energy, is often not true. Many studies have looked closely at how much energy is saved. They found that the savings are very, very small. In fact, they are often so small that they hardly make a difference at all. Some research even shows that people might use more energy because of DST. For example, in places like Indiana, people used more electricity for heating in the darker mornings and for air conditioning and the warmer evenings. So, any small savings on lighting were lost and bills went up. This means the main reason for DST might not be true anymore. The debate about daylight saving time is complex. There are good points and bad points on both sides. It affects our health, our money, and even our safety. 6. Other countries. Many countries around the world also use daylight saving time, but some are thinking about stopping. In Europe, most countries currently change their clocks twice a year, from the end of March to the end of October. However, in 2018, the European Union asked its citizens what they wanted. About 4.6 million people answered, and 84% said they wanted to stop changing the clocks. Because of this, the European Commission suggested ending the clock changes. Each country could then choose to stay on summertime or standard time all year. But this idea faced problems. Southern European countries like Spain wanted permanent summertime. Northern countries like Finland preferred permanent standard time for brighter winter mornings. Central European nations worried about trade if neighbors had different times. The European Parliament voted to end the changes in 2019, but countries could not agree. So, the plan to stop changing clocks is still waiting. Russia tried a big change in 2011. Their president, Dmitry Medvedev, made Russia stay on summertime all year. Clocks moved forward and did not move back. Many people liked it at first. But in winter, the sun rose very late in many parts of Russia. This made mornings dark for a long time. People started to complain about health and stress. Accidents on roads also increased in the mornings. By 2012, most Russians did not support this plan. In 2014, President Vladimir Putin signed a new law. Russia went back to permanent standard time. This showed that very dark winter mornings were a big problem. A growing number of countries have already stopped using daylight saving time. About half of all countries that used it before have now ended the practice. In the last 10 years, nations like Iran, Jordan, and Turkey have stopped changing their clocks. Mexico also ended summertime for most of the country in 2022, though some border cities still use it to match the United States. In the United States, some places have never used daylight saving time. Hawaii, for example, is near the equator. Here, the amount of daylight does not change much between seasons, so DST is not needed. Most of Arizona also does not use it. Arizona stopped in 1968 because people felt that extra daylight in the evening made the desert heat last too long. U.S. territories such as Puerto Rico and Guam also do not observe daylight saving time. These examples show that different regions have different needs and choices about time. 7. What can we do? We have talked about how daylight saving time started and how it affects us. Now, what can we do in the future? There are 3 main ideas for how we can deal with our clocks. Each idea has its own good and bad points. It is not an easy choice. The first idea is to keep things as they are. This means we continue to change our clocks twice a year, once in spring and once in fall. Many people are used to this system. Some businesses, like shops and places for outdoor activities, benefit from more daylight in the evenings during the summer. However, many doctors and scientists say this is the worst choice for our health. Changing clocks can cause sleep problems, heart attacks, and other health issues. Also, studies show that it does not save much energy, or sometimes it even uses more. The second idea is to stay on standard time all year. This means we would not move the clocks forward in spring. This option is what many health experts and sleep doctors recommend. They say it is the best choice for our body's natural clocks. It matches the sun's natural cycle better. If we did this, there would be fewer health problems like heart attacks and strokes. The big problem with this idea is the dark winter mornings. The sun would rise very late, making it dark when children go to school and people go to work. Many people do not like this. The third idea is to stay on daylight saving time all year. This means we would move the clocks forward in spring and never move them back. This choice would give us more daylight in the evenings throughout the whole year. Many people like this because they enjoy longer evenings for fun and shopping. Businesses that depend on outdoor activities also like this idea. However, staying on daylight saving time all year would mean even darker winter mornings than the current system. The sun would rise very late, even at 9 o'clock in some northern places. This could cause safety problems for children and people traveling to work. Also, while it is better for health than changing clocks twice a year, it is not as good as staying on permanent standard time. Some studies suggest it might even slightly increase energy use because of colder mornings and hotter evenings. So, all three choices have different effects. There is no simple answer that makes everyone happy and solves all the problems. This is why it is so hard to decide what to do about our clocks. The end of time change? It is clear now why changing our clocks twice a year is so hard to stop. This old system has been with us for over 100 years. Many things make it difficult to change. First, it has become a deep habit, a part of how society works. Second, there are groups and businesses that benefit from the extra evening daylight, like shops and tourism, and they want the system to stay. Also, changing something so basic needs many different states and people to agree, which is often very hard to achieve. The old system continues more because of inertia and tradition than because it truly works best. Science now tells us clearly that changing the clocks is not good for our health. Many studies show that moving clocks back and forth can harm our body's natural rhythm, called the circadian clock. This can lead to sleep problems, and some research even links it to serious health issues. Medical experts and scientists now agree that the current system is harmful. Because of this, more and more people want to stop the clock changes. Surveys in the United States show that most people would like to end this yearly event. In Europe, a very large number of people also voted to stop the changes. So, the big question is not if we will stop changing the clocks, but how we will do it. What is the best way to fix our relationship with time? We have different choices. Keep changing, stay on standard time all year, or stay on daylight saving time all year. Each choice has good and bad points. And what works for one area might not work for another. The path forward is not simple, but the need for change is clear. What do you think is the best way to manage our time? Let us know your thoughts.
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.